What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to Seatgeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With Seatgeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. What up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on? This is your boy, Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports via the Chalk It Up Network, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge us to the game. Always grateful to be in the presence of you beautiful people. You know what your job is. You know what your role is. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That's very important, especially if you're a regular here, right? If you're a newcomer, I expect you to get comfortable. I expect you to lock in and see if this is your vibe. See if this is the type of show you want to get locked in on. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the great content. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys are also hitting that like button, okay? That like button is valuable. That like button helps more people find the show, helps more people want to commit and subscribe to the show, helps the YouTube algorithm, first and foremost. So make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are locked in. Now, we have a lot of things to get into. We have a lot of things to discuss. I have some things that's weighing heavy on my heart. But before we get to the topics, I want to address some breaking news. So Darius Slay is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler. Darius Slay has officially agreed to terms with the Steelers on a one-year deal. A one-year deal. I want to make that very, very clear. A one-year deal Darius Slay has agreed to with the Steelers. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's agreed to a one-year deal, $10 million fully guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure I got that right here. But nonetheless, Darius Slay is officially gone. He's no longer on the roster. So let me update my ticker here. And here's the thing, right? Darius Slay, I think we all knew, or at least we had a feeling that Darius Slay could be on the outs after this season. I think we all had a feeling that Darius Slay could potentially be going to another team, or maybe he'd retire. We didn't know. But the bottom line is Darius Slay feels like he has a lot of football left in him, maybe another year or two. But he's agreed on a one-year, $10 million deal that's fully guaranteed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So shout out to him. Congratulations to him. Another $10 million in the bank. Well, once the agent gets their cut, and then taxes, of course. Regardless, though, $10 million goes to the Darius Slay family. Shout out to Darius Slay, man. He is going to go down as a Philadelphia Eagles legend. You can definitely put him in that top 5 category of Eagles cornerbacks that we've had in the Midnight Green. Regardless of how some of us may feel about Darius Slay, how some of us may feel about how he's handled himself in various situations. Some people didn't like the podcast and how he carried himself on there, or some people didn't like how he moved around with the opposition, whatever it may be. Regardless of how you personally feel about Darius Slay, it's unequivocal. It can't be denied. He has been a stabilizing force on the Eagles defense. That's a fact. That's not fiction. That's not hearsay. That's not conjecture. That's a fact. He's been a multi-time Pro Bowler in the Philadelphia Eagles uniform. He's been an All-Pro. He's a Super Bowl champion. It goes without saying, Darius Slay deserves all the flowers that he can get because he's given the Philadelphia Eagles nothing but stable and consistent play. That's all. That's all. And I'll leave it at that. So, again, congratulations to Darius Slay. He's able to stay in Pennsylvania. His family doesn't necessarily have to uproot themselves, but so much. I highly doubt he's going to force his family to move. He'll probably rent an apartment in Pittsburgh, whatever it may be. But this move benefits not only his pocket, but it benefits his family dynamic. He doesn't have to uproot his family. He gets to stay on the East Coast, and he gets to stay in state, and he's very familiar with the taxes of Pennsylvania. So, nonetheless, congratulations to Darius Slay. And now the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to fill some more voids on their defense. So, just so we're keeping up with everything, Darius Slay, he's officially gone. Josh Sweat agreed to terms with the Arizona Cardinals, 4-year deal, $76.4 million, $41 million fully guaranteed. By the way, Darius Slay and Josh Sweat have the same agent, Drew Rosenhaus. On top of that, the Philadelphia Eagles are losing Milton Williams to the Patriots. He signed a 4-year deal, $104 million, $63 million fully guaranteed. That leaves a void on the defensive line. And the Eagles are also losing cornerback Isaiah Rodgers to the Minnesota Vikings. He agreed to a 2-year, $15 million deal, $8 million fully guaranteed. So the Philadelphia Eagles are losing 4 contributors on the defensive side of the ball, 3 major contributors in Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, and Milton Williams. And let's not forget, the Philadelphia Eagles did trade C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Texans in exchange for guard Quinyon Green. The Eagles also will receive a 2026 5th-round pick, and the Texans got a 2026 6th-round pick in return. So the Philadelphia Eagles are losing 5 key bodies on the defensive side of the ball. They lost arguably 4 starters. Jordan Davis was starting ahead of Milton Williams. It's just that Jordan Davis and Milton Williams were kind of splitting snaps depending on the situation and the down and distance. But regardless, though, you're losing 5 contributors and you're losing 4 starters. You can make an argument for that. So now the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to figure out who those other 4 starters are going to be on the defensive side of the ball. You need to find out who your starting corner is going to be opposite of Quinyon Mitchell. You're going to have to figure out who your starting safety is going to be opposite of Reed Blankenship. You're going to have to figure out who your other defensive tackle is going to be, who's going to play with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I believe that's Moro Ojomo. I believe they already have that guy in the building. Your cornerback depth, you're going to have to restore that because you lost Isaiah Rodgers. So Keely Ringo is going to have to step up. Will he become the starter? We'll see. Eli Ricks is going to have to step up. Will he get more reps? We will see. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles are likely going to draft another corner. They're probably going to draft another safety somewhere, somehow. I hear there's a rumor that they're looking after or they're looking out for. I forget my man's name. He's a safety. I forget his name. But there is a player, Justin Simmons. That's what it is, Justin Simmons. There is a rumor that Justin Simmons is looking at the Philadelphia Eagles. He could potentially become one of their players. So regardless, though, losing Josh Sweat, you have Jalen Hunt, but you're going to have to restore balance on that edge as well. You're likely going to draft an edge rusher. So again, you lose 5 critical players on your defense, and you're going to have to replace those guys. 4 of them were definitely starting caliber. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. But I'm glad the Darius Slay news came across when it did, because it leads perfectly into the topic I want to discuss with you guys today. Because what I'm seeing from a lot of you guys on social media, when I'm hearing from a lot of people, is a lot of concern. I'm hearing a lot of concern. I'm seeing that a lot of you guys are really, really worried about the trajectory of this Philadelphia Eagles team, specifically the Eagles defense. I'm seeing a lot of you guys are beginning to lose faith in Howie Roseman. I don't really understand why, but I'm seeing a lot of you guys are beginning to lose faith in your two-time Super Bowl champion general manager, somebody who's been able to cultivate and develop and create 3 Super Bowl worthy rosters and managed to secure 2 Super Bowls with those 3 rosters. 2 Super Bowl championships, 2 Super Bowl trophies, 2 Lombardi trophies secured over the past 7 years. 3 Super Bowl appearances over the past 7 years. I'm hearing and I'm seeing that a lot of you guys are concerned about Howie Roseman and concerned about the trajectory the Philadelphia Eagles are heading in. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing. But I'm glad, because it allows us to really have a tough conversation. It allows us to have a forthcoming, a vulnerable conversation. Some of you guys have the utmost confidence in Howie, as you should. But there are others who have lost or whose confidence is waning. And those are the people I'm really talking to. Because I get the sense, that some of you are new to the party. I get the sense that some of you are new to this, but aren't really true to this. I think it's really important. That whatever sport that you're into, if it's basketball, football, soccer, baseball, whatever league you're into, the MLB, the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, the MLS, the Premier League, right? La Liga, Bundesliga. Yes, whatever league you're into, I think it's important to understand the business practices of said league. I also think it's important to understand the difficulties in roster sustainability and the difficulties in roster building and construction. I also think it's important to understand how the financials work in those leagues. So let's get to some facts, because some of you believe that I'm not speaking with facts or logic. Some of you guys are under the impression that when you win Super Bowls, you have a responsibility to pay everybody. Some of you guys, and if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. A hit dog will holler, though. A hit dog will holler. But some of you, not all, not most, but some of you are under this impression that when you win a Super Bowl, you have a responsibility to pay everybody. Everybody. Some of you are under the impression, not all, but some of you are under the impression that when you win the Super Bowl, you're able to keep everybody, as if other teams don't want your players. When you win Super Bowls, other organizations want your players. When you win Super Bowls, other organizations want your coaches. When you're successful, other organizations want your GM, because they believe there's a secret sauce that they can tap into. They believe that whatever that player did for you to win that Super Bowl, they can bring that experience, they can bring that energy, they can bring that mana over to their organization. But I must remind a lot of you guys. Winning Super Bowls don't happen in the micro. They happen in the macro. In order to win Super Bowls, you must always think big picture and be timely with your small picture view. In order to sustain success, you must always think big picture. So let's get into it, right? We spoke about the players the Eagles have lost. They lost or they moved on from CJ/GJ. They decided not to re-sign Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Isaiah Rodgers, Kenny Gainwell, right? Kenny Gainwell's going to the Steelers on a one-year deal. Shout out to him. Congratulations to him. Who else? I said Sweat, Milton, Slay, CJ/GJ, Kenny Gainwell. Who else? I want to make sure I don't miss out on anybody. Isaiah Rodgers. We don't know if we're going to bring back Mekhi Becton. We don't know yet. Mekhi Becton is still up in the air. We don't know yet. But the bottom line is when you win, and you win big, and your players play well, especially in that big game, teams want those players. And I know some of you guys are also wondering, well, why didn't we extend these guys mid-season? Why didn't we get these deals done early? Howie normally pays guys early. Why didn't we pay these guys early? Well, let's not forget, Josh Sweat did get extended with the Philadelphia Eagles at one point. He got a contract in 2018. He got extended. And then they gave him a one-year fully guaranteed deal for the 2024 season. And he parlayed that. He bet on himself, actually. He bet on himself in Philadelphia, something Hassan Reddick didn't want to do. He didn't want to bet on himself in Philadelphia. He wanted to take his talents elsewhere. But Josh Sweat bet on himself in Philadelphia. He parlayed a one-year, $10 million deal to what are we talking about here? He parlayed a one-year, $10 million deal into a four-year, $76.4 million deal with $41 million fully guaranteed. So Josh Sweat, although we were unable to keep him, we did draft him in 2018. He became a free agent in 2025. We had him for 7 years. Managed to leverage that into a Super Bowl win. 2 Super Bowl berths since he's been here. Milton Williams. You drafted him in, what year was that? You drafted Milton Williams in 2021. He was drafted in the 3rd round. Rookie deal lasts 4 years. Managed to get the 2 Super Bowls in that 4-year span. You win one of them. Sounds like a successful draft pick to me. He leveraged that 3rd round draft status into a 4-year, $104 million deal with $63 million guaranteed. You see, when you draft well, continuously, at some point, you got to make tough decisions about who you want to keep and who you don't want to keep. And you don't want to hold those players back. And you also can't hold a player hostage and assume they're going to take a team-friendly deal. Those guys grind. They deserve the contracts they got. We couldn't pay them that money. And I'm going to tell you why. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Trust me, the Huff contract is not the only thing that's killing us. The Huff contract obviously is something that you probably regret. But trust me, the Huff contract is just the tip of the iceberg. The Huff contract is not the only thing that's holding the Eagles down right now. We're not going to try to minimize what this situation is into one singular contract. It's not like they signed Bryce Huff to a $100 million deal. They guaranteed him $34 million, a $51 million deal. Everyone goes through a situation where you sign a player, he doesn't live up to the contract. It happens. It's the NFL. No one's immune from it. The Bryce Huff contract is just the tip of the iceberg. But again, I want to tell you why. We can't or couldn't bring back those players. And by the way, for Sweat, Antonio, my man, when it comes to Josh Sweat, he signed for $20 million a year, $21 million a year. We signed Huff to $17 million a year. So, I mean, Sweat wasn't going to settle for 17. He wasn't going to settle for 17. But nonetheless, let's keep it going, right? I'm going to explain to you why the Philadelphia Eagles were unable to keep the players you guys are crying about. Not all of you, but some of you. Because again, I'm seeing some of you guys losing faith in Howie. Not all, but some. And I'm emphasizing that because some people get sensitive. They think I'm talking about them. I'm saying some for a reason. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But a hit dog will holler. The Philadelphia Eagles, they understand that they have a bunch of young players on rookie deals that they have to be prepared to offer contract extensions to in the near future, if they so desire. If they so desire. There are many young players that the Philadelphia Eagles have hit on in the last 3 draft classes that they have to be prepared to pay. See, this is the price you pay when you draft well. When you draft well, you got to make tough decisions. And you have to weigh cost and benefit. You have to weigh cost and production. You have to weigh age, production, cost. Can I get the same output or close to the same output from this young player as I can from this older player who's due to get paid? Can I get the same production from this guy on a rookie deal as I could have got from a guy who's looking to get paid? I have some examples. But before we do that, as we go through the list of players who the Philadelphia Eagles have to start thinking about, we're going to break down why it's relevant to the contracts or the players we lost. But before we do so, I want to remind you guys, the Eagles did re-sign Zack Baun to a 3-year, $51 million contract, $34 million fully guaranteed. They did bring back the most important player that we all talked about. A lot of us said, hey, bring back Zack Baun, and I will be okay with whatever he does. A lot of you guys said that. A lot of you. Bring back Zack Baun, and I can live with whatever he does after that. I trust him. And once the chips started falling, the mice came out the woodworks. They came out. They got nervous. They couldn't hold their water. So we're going to get into the details. Let's just start with the 2022 draft class, because a lot of the guys from the 2021 draft class have gotten paid already. Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson. They had to move on from Milton, had to move on from Kenny Gainwell. You can't sign everybody. So you have to make executive decisions. The Philadelphia Eagles felt like Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson were more valuable than Milton Williams and Kenny Gainwell. Would you guys agree or disagree? That's the 2021 draft class. Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams, Kenny Gainwell. Those are the 4 players that are on this roster or were on this roster that was in the 2021 draft class. The Eagles re-signed 2 of them. They let 2 of them walk. Would you say Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson are more valuable than Milton Williams and Kenny Gainwell? I'm asking you guys directly. Yes or no? Yes or no? Is Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson more valuable than Milton Williams and Kenny Gainwell? Pat Ryan says absolutely. This is the 2021 draft class we're talking about. The Philadelphia Eagles understood that. Muhammad Imran says yes. Joel Y. Perez Martinez says, I agree. Stacy Crawford says, definitely. Ray Lester AC said, clearly, of course. Hell yes, by Jinx Wolf. Yes. So they re-signed Devontae. They re-signed Landon. Unfortunately, Milton, because he was drafted in the 3rd round, he didn't have a 5th-year option. So they had to let him walk. Kenny Gainwell, obviously they let him walk. Let's get to the 2022 draft class. The 2022 draft class. The Eagles drafted Jordan Davis. And again, we're talking about key guys who are still on his roster, right? That they got to make decisions on. Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, Grant Calcaterra. All 4 of those players are entering year 4 of their rookie contracts. The only player that has a 5th-year option is Jordan Davis because he's a 1st-round pick. Now, if I have the Philadelphia Eagles pegged correctly, Cam Jurgens is going to be the first one to get his extension from that draft class. Cam Jurgens. So that's a young core player at a high-value position that the Philadelphia Eagles have to figure out the future for. The Philadelphia Eagles are not going to let Cam Jurgens walk. He will get paid. He will get extended. Jordan Davis, he has the 5th-year option. Because Cam Jurgens is more valuable than Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens will get priority over Jordan Davis's contract. But Jordan Davis has flexibility because of the 5th-year option. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles will extend Cam Jurgens first. They will then pick up Jordan Davis's 5th-year option. Nakobe Dean and Grant Calcaterra are the wild cards. Those are the what ifs. If Nakobe Dean gets healthy. If the Philadelphia Eagles look at Grant Calcaterra as somebody that they like long-term. I look at Grant Calcaterra as somebody who's replaceable, expendable. I look at Nakobe Dean as a guy who showed a lot of great tape over the course of this 17-game season, even the first half of the playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. But what's played Nakobe Dean over his career is health. Health. And now he's going to be starting the 2025 season on the PUP list. Now, I believe the Philadelphia Eagles will likely find a way to extend Nakobe Dean on a very, very team-friendly deal because they have all the leverage. He has none. He's only giving you 1 year of production, and he's giving you legit 2 years of being hurt. Granted, the second injury happened in the playoffs, but he's also going to be missing likely the first 4 or 5 games of the 2025 season. So you're likely only going to have maybe 12 games to see Nakobe Dean prove he's still that guy. But this is where things get interesting. You got Jeremiah Trotter waiting to get his opportunity. But we're going to get to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. because Jeremiah Trotter Jr. will put pressure on Nakobe Dean. He will put pressure. But I digress. So from that 2022 draft class, I expect the Philadelphia Eagles to extend 2 of them guaranteed. That's Cam Jurgens and Jordan Davis. But they don't have to rush for Jordan Davis because he has a 5th-year option. They got time for that one. But I expect Cam Jurgens and Jordan Davis to be the for sure extensions. Let's move on to the 2023 draft class. This is the one right here. This is the one. This is the one. You have Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Tanner McKee, Moro Ojomo. Now, this one is interesting. Obviously, Tanner McKee's contract is not a priority. He's a quarterback too. He's a backup. That's not a priority. Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown, they're interesting because you moved on from CJGJ. You allowed Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers to walk. So now it's imperative to find out what Sidney Brown and what Keely Ringo can do for you. as legitimate starters. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to be starters in 2025. But at some point, you have to find out what your young guys, what your 2022 or 2023, what your 2023 draft class can do. In particular, Sidney Brown and Kelee Ringo, if they get the opportunity, if they can win the job. Because again, you want to try to maintain your core and get production from young players on rookie deals. That's how you sustain success. That's how you're able to pay your stars, your veterans. The Eagles have made it clear. We're spending a lot of money on offense. We're going to try really hard to hit on the draft and defense and supplement it with maybe a veteran here and there that we may sign in free agency. Maybe supplement it with a diamond in the rough in free agency, sign a guy to a 1 year or 2 year deal, whatever it may be. The Eagles have made their vision very clear. Invest heavily on offense. Try to hit in the draft on defense and get the most out of your young guys. That's why Josh Sweat walked. That's why Milton Williams walked. That's why Darius Slay walked. That's why Isaiah Rodgers walked. And now that we're learning more, it's potentially another reason why CJ was traded. I'm hearing rumors that he asked for more money. I'm also hearing rumors that there was some discontention between both parties. So you put all that in a pot, CJ is shipped to Houston. So if you're Howie Roseman, you're thinking to yourself, you got to find out what these young guys can do. Because if you want to pay guys like Jalen Carter, if you want to pay guys like Nolan Smith, if you want to pay guys like Cam Jurgens or Jordan Davis, you gotta let Sidney Brown get an opportunity. Cheap contract, see how much production you can get out of it. Kelee Ringo, cheap contract. You got to see how much production you can get out of that. These guys are entering year 3. You got to find out if they can play. Tyler Steen, same thing goes for him. Moro Ojomo, same thing goes for him. You got to find out if those guys can play. Well, we know Tyler Steen can play. We know Moro Ojomo can play. Tyler Steen has been a rotational guard on many occasions. We know Tyler Steen can play. Moro Ojomo, this was the first year he got legit snaps. We know he can play. Moro Ojomo was drafted to be the Milton Williams replacement. The Eagles saw the writing on the wall. The Eagles knew, in my humble opinion, I think the Philadelphia Eagles knew for a long time, or at least for the past 365 days, maybe the past year and a half. I think they knew they weren't going to. The moment they drafted Moro Ojomo, they knew they weren't going to re-sign Milton Williams. They knew that. But obviously that hinged on Moro Ojomo being a good player. Moro Ojomo was developed and he's shown that he can be a good player. As a matter of fact, I believe PFF had him at a higher pressure rate than Milton Williams. NFL Next Gen Stats says something different, but I believe PFF had Moro Ojomo. He had a higher pressure rate than Milton Williams this past season. So Moro Ojomo was a hit, but he's entering year 3. So he has to get more reps. And you can't pay Milton Williams because you know damn well you're going to have to pay Jalen Carter. And that's going to be a big one. That's going to be the biggest contract the Eagles signed from these past 3 draft classes. There's not a single player. There's not a single player on defense that's going to make more than Jalen Carter. Not a single player. So the Eagles need to make sure they clear the runway. They can't sign Josh Sweat. They can't sign Milton Williams. They can't bring back Slay. They can't bring back Isaiah Rodgers. They can't give CJ more money. They got to clear the runway because that Jalen Carter Brinks truck is coming. Jalen Carter is going to get more than $30 million a season. They can't play around. They can't tie themselves up with a 4-year. Let's go over again what Josh Sweat and Milton Williams got. They can't give Josh Sweat 4 years, 76.4 million, 41 million guaranteed. They can't give Milton Williams 4 years, 104 million, 63 million guaranteed. They can't give them that because you got Jalen Carter who needs to get paid. You got Cam Jurgens who needs to get paid. Jordan Davis, he has a 5th-year option, so there's flexibility with that. But I don't think Jordan Davis is going to get Milton Williams money. I don't even think Jordan Davis is going to get $20 million. But they look at him as somebody who's instrumental on that defensive line because of how he takes up space for everybody, the run defense aspect of it, the athleticism. They still believe that he has potential to take his pass rushing ability to another level. His pass rushing ability did take a step forward this season. They believe with that athleticism, that size, him and Jalen Carter can be demons. But Jalen Carter is the one that they got to clear the runway for. They can't play around. They can't play around. So then we get to the 2024 draft class. These young brothers are entering year 2. Year 2. The Eagles don't necessarily have to worry about it quite yet, but they do have to worry about it because any good GM is not only thinking about the now, he's also thinking 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line. And when you do the math on that, you're going to have to pay Quinyon Mitchell top tier money at the position. You're going to have to pay Cooper DeJean top tier money at the position. And you're going to have to figure out what Jalen Hunt is over the long term. We've seen Jalen Hunt put up some really good tape this season, especially after BG got hurt. Jalen Hunt has a lot of potential to be a really good pass rusher. Jalen Hunt has potential to be your Josh Sweat replacement. You see, Moro Ojomo is the Milton Williams replacement. Josh Sweat or Jalen Hunt can be the Josh Sweat replacement. Granted, you still need to restore your depth on the edge in particular and in the DB room, safety and corner included. But look at it like this. You lose Slay, you draft Quinyon Mitchell. You got your number 1 corner on a rookie deal who's proven he could play in this league and lock up anybody. You find Cooper DeJean in the draft. Now, will they keep him on the inside? Will they move him to the outside? I don't know. I know my preference. My preference is keep him in the slot. But don't put it past the Philadelphia Eagles to draft another corner. Maybe they hit on him. Maybe they don't. You never know. But you got to clear the runway for those key guys on defense. Again, Jalen Carter, you got to clear the runway for that. Nolan Smith, you got to clear the runway for that. Cam Jurgens, you got to clear the runway for that. I think those going to be like the biggest. Quinyon Mitchell, you got to clear the runway for that. Carter, Nolan Smith, Quinyon, Cooper DeJean, Cam Jurgens. But Cam was on offense, but staying on defensive side. That's 4 guys. Your core. Jalen Hunt. What's his ceiling? We're still finding that out. Will Shipley, he's a running back. We'll figure that you don't have to worry about Will Shipley. Anaya Smith, you don't got to worry about him. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., interesting. Trevor Keegan, interesting. Johnny Wilson, you can waste time with that. You ain't got to worry about that. But the names who are interesting: Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Trevor Keegan, Jalen Hunt, Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown, Tyler Steen, Nakobe Dean. Those are the interesting names because I believe Nakobe Dean. Oh, I can't forget Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship was an undrafted guy in the 2022 season. Thank you guys for reminding me. Reed Blankenship, who's entering the last year of his deal with the Eagles. He was an undrafted free agent in 2022. He's a part of that class of young guys. What's the Eagles' long-term plan with Reed? Reed has been a guy who's been able to force turnovers. He's been able to force at minimum 3 to 4 turnovers since he's been a starter. He's instrumental on the defense side of that ball. So there are names who are interesting. Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., their futures are tied to the hip. Tyler Steen and Trevor Keegan, I believe their futures are tied at the hip. Sidney Brown, Kelee Ringo. Can Sidney Brown prove to be starting quality? Can Kelee Ringo take that next step and be starter quality corner? This is why the Philadelphia Eagles can't afford to get emotionally attached to guys like Josh Sweat, to guys like Milton Williams, to guys like Darius Slay or Isaiah Rodgers. Yeah, they were contributors to a Super Bowl winning team. But you guys know how the league always likes to pay attention to winning with your quarterback on his rookie deal. You know how the league, how these national guys, they talk about how teams want to try to win and win big with their quarterback on a rookie deal before they got to start paying guys, right? They talk about that. That doesn't just go for the quarterback. You see, people don't talk about it much because it's not sexy. It's not enticing. But the same way how you want to win with your quarterback on his rookie deal, you want to win with all your guys on their rookie deals. Whoever you drafted that year, whoever you deem is valuable, whoever proves to be a contributor, you want to try to maximize that rookie window before they got to get paid. So if you ask me, did the Philadelphia Eagles maximize the 4-year window they had with Milton Williams? I say yes. Did the Philadelphia Eagles maximize the 4-year window they had with Kenny Gainwell? Yes. Did the Philadelphia Eagles maximize the 7-year window they had with Josh Sweat? I say yes. Did the Eagles maximize the 2 years they had with CJ? I say yes. Did the Philadelphia Eagles maximize the 5 years they had with Darius Slay? I would say yes. Did the Eagles maximize the 1 year they had with Isaiah Rodgers? I say yes. So far, have the Eagles maximized the years they've had with Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, Grant Calcaterra, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Kelee Ringo, Tanner McKee, Moro Ojomo, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jags Hunt, Will Shipley, Anaya Smith, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Trevor Keegan, Johnny Wilson. Did the Philadelphia Eagles maximize the rookie contracts of those 19 young players I mentioned? I say yes. So all I'm trying to get across to you guys is when you draft well and you develop well and you win consistently and you win a Super Bowl, it's going to be hard to keep everybody. It's going to be impossible to pay everybody. Teams are going to want your players on their rosters. It's par for the course. If you're Howie Roseman, you can't make the same mistake you made in 2018 when you got emotionally attached. When you got emotionally attached to Nigel Bradham. You got emotionally attached to who else they paid? They paid a lot of people. You can't get emotionally attached to these guys. You have to always think 1, 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. You have to ask yourself, who's irreplaceable? Who's invaluable? Right? I think you're untouchable players. I think your most valuable players on the defense side of the ball. Because I think most of you guys are concerned about the defense. I think there's no concern that Cam Jurgens is going to get paid. I think we all have that pretty much locked in our minds. But the defense has been the side of the ball where people have grown concerned with. Do you think Milton Williams is more valuable than Jalen Carter? Do you think Josh Sweat? Do you think Milton Williams is more valuable than Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis? Do you think Josh Sweat is more valuable than Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt? Do you think Mekhi Becton is more valuable than Tyler Steen and Trevor Keegan? I love Mekhi Becton. I want him back. I want Mekhi back. Don't get me wrong. But if Mekhi chases the bag, you got to let him. You drafted Tyler Steen. You developed Tyler Steen. He's earned his lumps. He has playoff experience. He's played next to Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Jason Kelsey. He's played next to all those guys. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. He has experience, playoff experience at that. If Mekhi Becton chooses to chase the bag, you got to live with that. You still got Tyler Steen on the rookie contract. You still got a guy in Trevor Keegan who you're developing, who has potential to be a legit rotational guard in this league. Maybe a starter, depending on how things go. In this game, in this business, tough decisions have to be made. Tough decisions have to be made. And I understand some of you guys buy their jerseys. Look, I got jerseys, right? But I only buy jerseys of people who got long-term contracts. I don't buy jerseys of people who got 1 year, 2 year deals. I don't. I don't do that. I don't do that. Some of you guys maybe got Sweat jerseys or Milton Williams jerseys or Darius Slay jerseys, right? Or CJGJ jerseys. The Philadelphia Eagles will always prioritize guys they drafted. They will always prioritize the players they draft as much as they possibly can. Because rookie contracts provide cap flexibility. And although the Eagles drafted Milton Williams and they drafted Josh Sweat and they let those guys walk in free agency, when you drafted Milton Williams, you didn't know you would land on Moro Ojomo. You didn't know you would land on Jordan Davis. You didn't know you would land on Jalen Carter. The success of Jalen Carter, the success of Jordan Davis, the success of Moro Ojomo made it easier for Howie Roseman to move on from Milton Williams. Josh Sweat, we had him for 7 years. Drafted him in 2018, became a Super Bowl champion in 2025. We extended Josh Sweat. Remember that. We extended him. When we really didn't have to, but we did it because we felt like his ceiling, he barely was scratching the surface. And in extending Josh Sweat, we've seen Josh Sweat play some of his best football. And then when his contract was up, he bettered himself in Philadelphia, signed a 1 year deal, took a big risk. He bet on himself. And he lived up to that. And he's earned the right to be a free agent. He's earned the right to get his money. We've had Josh Sweat for longer than people will realize. So I'm not mad about moving on from Josh. I'm really not. The Eagles didn't know they'd land on Nolan Smith. The Eagles didn't know they would land on Jalix Hunt. That made it easier to move on from Josh Sweat. It's the game. It's the game. Now, obviously, CJGJ, that took us all by surprise. That took us all by surprise. It took me by surprise. I didn't foresee that. I didn't foresee it. But as more news comes out about that situation, when you hear CJGJ talked about it, he said, listen, they got to pay the young guys on defense. I can't get mad at that. Now, I'm sure he didn't want to leave, right? He doesn't want to leave. But CJGJ said it himself. They got to pay the young guys on defense, which implies to me he was looking to get a little bit more cheddar. I think CJGJ wanted a little bit more money. And the Eagles said, sorry, can't do it. I also think there was some drama that occurred as well. That the Philadelphia Eagles said to themselves, we like you. We love you, actually. But we're not giving you more money. And on top of that, you've kind of been a little bit of a headache a little bit. And I'm speculating. You want more money? You're a little bit of a headache. Yeah, we'll trade you. As a matter of fact, we'll even do you a solid because we respect you. We'll trade you to an organization where you can play winning football. The Houston Texans, who have been in the playoffs the past 2 years, who has a legit defense, by the way. So CJGJ wasn't just thrown to the rafters. They didn't just do him dirty. They said, listen, we respect you. You helped deliver a Super Bowl here. You've been a part of 2 Super Bowl rosters with us. We respect you. We can't pay you, though. We'll trade you to a situation where you can win, where you have a chance, where you can make an impact. Again, did I want to move on from CJGJ? I did not. But for what I'm hearing, this isn't just about the cap. This is also about cash. This is about cash, not the cap. The cap, but the Eagles will always be able to finagle that. This is also about cash. They got to make sure they have the cash on hand to give Jalen Carter up front. They need to make sure they're going to have the cash on hand to give to Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean up front when it's time. They're going to have to make sure they're going to have the cash to give Cam Jurgens up front. They got to think about that. The 4 most valuable. Here are your most valuable players who are either entering year 2, year 3, or year 4 of their rookie deals. Here are your most valuable young players. Cam Jurgens, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Your honorable mentions are Jordan Davis and Jalix Hunt. Notice I only said one offensive player, and that's Cam Jurgens. Everybody else is defense. Because the Eagles have a formula for their defense now. They've proven over the past 4 draft classes that they can draft well. You can make an argument over the past 5 because they found Jalen Hurts in 2020. And even Jack Driscoll has made an impact on his roster as a rotational guy. But let's just say the past 4 drafts. The past 4 drafts, the Philadelphia Eagles have proven that they can hit. And they're successful and they can develop these guys. They've proven that. So on offense, they're going to spend the money. But on defense, you have to be special for them to spend the money. Otherwise, they will replace you with a draft pick. And they will coach them up and they will develop them and maximize that rookie window. You have to be special at a high value position on that defensive side. That's why they pay Zach Baun. Because they felt like we can replace Josh Sweat. We can replace Milton Williams. We can't replace Zach Baun. That's why he got his money from the Eagles. And Sweat and Milton did not. That's the reality. I hope I've been able to make sense of this for some of you guys. Some of you guys probably already understood this. You're not even thinking emotionally about this right now. Some of you guys are really like, Tone, I know, trust me, I'm with you. Me and you seeing eye to eye, Tone. But there are also people who are emotionally attached to some of these guys, and they're looking at Howie Roseman like he's a psychopath for not bringing back Josh Sweat, for not bringing back Milton Williams. There are some people who can't see the forest from the trees, and that's okay. That's why I'm here. That's why I love you, because I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make sure you are aware of everything you need to be aware of. I have another very important topic that's going to add to what I'm saying to you guys. All I'm trying to say to you guys is trust Howie. He's earned that right. He's earned that. Howie has taken his lumps. He survived being thrown in the broom closet by Chip Kelly. He came back with a vengeance and has delivered 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 Super Bowl wins over the past 7 years. Or 8 years, excuse me. No, 7 over the past 7 years. 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins over the past 7 years. Howie Roseman has earned your grace. He's earned your patience. He's earned your confidence. He's earned your understanding. Some of you, you understand the game. A portion of you, a fraction of you, still have a lot to learn. Let's get to these super chats. And then I have another topic that I want to get to with you guys that's going to add even more validation to what I already mentioned. And it may also bring you some confidence. It may quell the flames that's burning in you right now. Whoa. Okay, hold on. But before I get to the super chats, I'm seeing some breaking news right now from you guys. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. The Eagles have agreed to sign fullback Ben VanSumeren to a 1-year contract. They have Ben VanSumeren listed as a fullback. That's that part. Ben VanSumeren is listed as a fullback, not a linebacker. I like that kind of. I like him as a fullback. That was their way of validating bringing him back. I like that. Okay, let's keep it going. The Philadelphia Eagles are signing A.J. Dillon. Wow. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I actually like this a little bit. Huh. Interesting. Former Packers running back A.J. Dillon is signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. Per sources, Dillon is just 26 years old and has over 2,400 rushing yards and 18 total touchdowns. Interesting. I've always liked A.J. Dillon with the Packers when he backed up Aaron Jones. I did. Let's see here. A.J. Dillon, 6 feet, 240. He's a power back, by the way. He's a power back, a bruiser. 26 years old, 6 feet, 247 pounds. Went to Boston College, born in Baltimore, Maryland. drafted in 2020. He's actually a part of Jalen Hurts' draft class. So A.J. Dillon, he can also catch the ball from the backfield too, actually. Interesting. So over the past 4 seasons, hear me out on this. Hear me out on this, okay? Because we didn't have a power back last year. We had Saquon, who runs with power, but who's elusive, really. Yeah, Will Shipley and Kenny Gainwell. Listen to this, you guys. Listen to this. Listen to this. Over the past 4 years, A.J. Dillon has accumulated over 3,100 yards from scrimmage, 18 total touchdowns. That's not bad for a backup running back. And he doesn't have a lot of miles on his own. He still has a lot of tread on the tires. I think this is an upgrade from Kenny Gainwell. I think this is an immediate upgrade from Kenny Gainwell. Now, obviously, we need to see the details of the contract, but over the past 4 seasons, A.J. Dillon he's entering year 5, by the way. So his rookie deal was done. A.J. Dillon was drafted in the 2nd round by the Green Bay Packers in 2020. So he's a young player, 26 years old, still has what? Listen, I'm not arguing with nobody. I'm not arguing with nobody. Shipley is more so the comp for Kenny Gainwell, the comp. But as far as adding to your running back depth, A.J. Dillon is better than Kenny Gainwell. There's not a question. There's not a question. A.J. Dillon is better than Kenny Gainwell. That's not a question at all. A.J. Dillon was a backup running back his entire career. Kenny G was a backup running back his entire career. Look at the production. Look at the production. I'm telling you this right now. A.J. Dillon, in his first 4 years in the NFL, he did not miss. Well, you're right. I'm tripping. He did miss all 2024. I'm tripping. So, okay, he's entering year 6 technically because he didn't play year 5. You're right. You're right. I'm glad somebody said that. Dana Scott, thank you, Dana, for adding that to the fold. Thank you for adding that, Dana. He did miss all of 2024 with the neck injury. So 9 times out of 10, signed him to a 1-year deal. It's a solid addition. But from a pure production perspective, he's better than Kenny Gainwell. It's not a question. From a pure production perspective, he's had a better career than Kenny Gainwell production-wise. Production. But anyway, again, he missed all of 2024 with the neck injury. So likely the Eagles signed him to a 1-year deal. But in his 4 years, over 3,100 yards from scrimmage, 18 total touchdowns, averaged almost 5 yards a touch. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? A.J. Dillon, in the 4 years he played, because he did miss 2024 with a neck injury, over 3,100 total yards from scrimmage, 18 total touchdowns. Let me adjust this. Let me adjust this because I want to make sure you guys see this here. Let me adjust this, okay? Let's bring this down. 3,191, okay. All right, let's bring this up on screen here, so I don't have to keep saying it. You guys can see it. This is not a question here. Not a question. Former Packers running back A.J. Dillon is signing with the Eagles. Dillon, who's 26 years old, who's 26 years old, over 4 seasons, has over 3,100 total yards, averaged 4.7 yards per touch, and 18 total touchdowns. I like this. I like this. This is what you call low risk, high reward. This is what you call low risk, high reward. I like this. I like this. I like this. Yeah. I like this. All right. Obviously, he has to stay healthy. He has to stay healthy, right? But I must tell you guys, the Philadelphia Eagles do a great job at keeping guys healthy, especially guys who's coming off of an injury, who's coming off of a season where they were injured. The Eagles found a way to keep Mekhi Becton primarily for the whole season. They found a way. They found a way to keep. Who was that? I said Mekhi Becton. They found a way to keep Darius Slay primarily healthy for the most part. They found a way to keep Josh Sweat healthy for the most part. They found a way to keep Saquon healthy. You feel what I'm saying? The Eagles found a way to keep Saquon healthy, a guy who's battled injuries throughout his first few seasons in the NFL. I think he was coming off of an ankle injury in 2023, right? So if there's any athletic training staff I trust, if there's any medical staff I trust the Eagles to get this guy right. He's had a full year to recuperate, get healthy. The Eagles organization does a great job at keeping the running backs healthy. They'll be good. Great. I'm seeing good things from you guys. As Blunt says that they said he received medical clearance from the top neck specialist. Okay. Jesse G94 says AJ Dillon is a good backup. Very good pickup. Jermaine Brown says behind the Eagles offensive line, he won't have to worry about his neck. Davon Tyree says nice 1-2 punch. Yeah, I agree. All right. Let me get to, and again, before I get to the super chats, just want to make sure we reiterate this. Former Packers running back A.J. Dillon is signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Dillon, who's just 26 years old and also missed the 2024 season, over his first 4 seasons in the NFL, he's accumulated over 3,100 total yards from scrimmage, averaged 4.7 yards per touch, and has 18 total touchdowns. Has a lot of tread left on the tires, and he was a backup behind Aaron Jones in Green Bay. So he doesn't have a lot of carries, and he's been on ice in 2024. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. VanSumeren got 10 million. What? Wait, are you serious? Tell me y'all playing. Oh, it is a 1-year deal. Okay, it's a 1-year deal. Let me edit that real quick. All right. So he signed a 1-year deal. He signed a 1-year deal. I like that. Wait, y'all said VanSumeren got $10 million? That must be over like a 4 or 5 year period. Wait, for real? I gotta see that. I gotta see that. Where y'all seeing that at, yo? Where y'all seeing that at? Are y'all serious right now? No, he didn't. Y'all lying. No way in hell they gave $10 million to VanSumeren. No way in hell. No way on God's green earth. No way on God's green earth. Y'all talking shit. Y'all talking shit. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Y'all lying. Y'all lying, yo. Tell me y'all lying. Oh, DeMarcus Lawrence going to the Seahawks. Interesting. Y'all lying. Talking about VanSumeren got $10 million. Anyway. All right, let me get to these super chats. Let me get to the super chats here. Oh, by the way, you guys, real quick. Think about this, right? Y'all got to tell me where you're seeing this at, because I'm not seeing it nowhere. Nah. I don't see it nowhere, so therefore I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that as fact. Anyway. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Pay attention to the moves they specifically made. Okay? They decided to, and it's a 1-year contract. That don't make sense. The Eagles are telling you who they are. The Eagles are telling you who they are. They signed A.J. Dillon, a power back who can also catch the ball from the backfield. And they re-signed Ben VanSumeren to a one-year contract as a fullback. What's that telling you? What's that telling y'all? You got Saquon Barkley, right? You signed A.J. Dillon, a running back, a power back, and you signed Ben VanSumeren as a fullback. What's that telling you? What's this telling y'all about the Eagles offense? Power. Power. Power football. Power football, baby. They're leaning into the run game. They know who they are. I don't know about 40 times a game, but Jesse G94, you get the idea though. Power football. They are going to be a play action, RPO, run heavy team. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, Will Shipley, and you got Ben VanSumeren as a fullback, who I love him at that position, by the way. I love seeing Ben VanSumeren as a fullback this season. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing Ben VanSumeren play fullback throughout the season. I enjoyed that. The Eagles are leaning in. They're leaning in to being that power football team. You bring back Ben VanSumeren as a fullback, and you sign A.J. Dillon, former Packers running back, to a one-year deal. 26 years old, over 4 seasons, over 3,100 total yards, averaged 4.7 yards per touch, and has 18 total touchdowns. And you got Saquon Barkley, who's coming off of a transcendent, unprecedented season. It also tells me that they want to take some pressure off Saquon too. They know they can't afford to have Saquon running the ball like that every year. So they're going to take some pressure off of him. And if everything bodes well for A.J. Dillon throughout OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, preseason, if he can stay healthy and do what we think he can do, Saquon Barkley is going to have the perfect running mate. The perfect running mate. The perfect running mate with A.J. Dillon. Because you can't have Saquon Barkley running for 2,000 yards every season. You can't do that. If you want Saquon Barkley to last the length of his contract, or at least last until the guaranteed money runs out, you got to give him some real support. The Eagles looked at that running back room from 2024 and said, Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley, as much as we like those players, they're not enough. They let Kenny Gainwell walk. Will Shipley's on a rookie deal. Don't think Will Shipley won't get used. They might use Will Shipley in the passing game. You never know. But they realize that we need more from that backup running back spot. If we want to get the most out of Saquon Barkley for as long as we want, we gotta get more out of that running back 2 spot. We gotta have a fullback on the roster. It's going to be really exciting to see how this looks. All right, let me get to these super chats. All right, let's see. I got Green Wingman with the $20 super chat. He says the damage that Howie Roseman will do with these picks that he has accumulated in a rich draft filled with defensive and tight ends. With defensive talent and tight ends, the NFL really allowed this man to get all these picks in this draft of all drafts. Oh man, I can't wait to tell you guys about 2026 and 2027. I can't wait. I'll read it again, Greeny. the damage that Howie Roseman will do with these draft picks that he has accumulated in a rich draft class that's filled with defensive and tight end talent, the NFL really allowed this man to get all these draft picks in this draft of all drafts. Man, Greeny, thank you for the super chat, man. I really do appreciate you. It means a lot. Linda Connors, thank you so much for the super chat. She says the Eagles hit on their first three picks on the past 4 drafts. God bless CJ, but we got to pay the young guys to secure our future. Linda, you hit it on the head. Carol Hockaday with the $20 super chat. Thank you, Carol. I really do appreciate you. Really do appreciate it. She says really good content. She has good content. Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much for your super chat. Chaotic Green with the $2 super chat says 2026 free agency. We signing CJ back. Well, in 2026, he'll still be under contract, I think. I think, well, maybe not. Actually, you may be right. Who knows? That's funny. That's funny, Chaotic. That's funny. Thank you guys for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. Green Wingman, thank you for the $20 super chat. Linda Connors, thank you for the $5 super chat. Carol Hockaday, thank you for the $20 super chat. And Chaotic Green, thank you for the $2 super chat. It all means the same to me. Thank you guys so much. All right. Now, I have another topic I want to bring up with you guys before we get out of here. And it goes hand in hand with my previous topic regarding how the Philadelphia Eagles have to prioritize their young defensive talent. Guys like Jalen Carter, Cam Jurgens is on offense, obviously, but they're going to pay him. That's not a question. But as far as on the defense, they got to prioritize Jalen Carter. They got to prioritize Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They got to prioritize Nolan Smith, right? You know, they're going to have to prioritize Jordan Davis at some point, right? So there are core guys on this defensive side that are young, that are on rookie deals, that they're going to have to pay. But here is another reason why the Philadelphia Eagles are taking the risk, or based off their risk assessment, why they're moving on from guys like Milton Williams, why they're moving on from guys like Josh Sweat, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay, right? There's a reason for that. CJ, there's a reason they're moving on from guys like that. Because your Philadelphia Eagles, you guys are going to love this. You guys are really going to love this. Over the next 2 years, 2026 and 2027, your Philadelphia Eagles are going to have 20 draft picks. Your Eagles are going to have 20 draft picks over the next 2 drafts. 20. And we got comp picks coming. So this is including that, right? This is including the comp picks that we're going to get in 2026 and 2027. Your Philadelphia Eagles over the next 2 years, 2026 and 2027, they are scheduled to have 20 draft picks. How do you guys feel about that? Because if you ask me, Howie Roseman understands that he knows at this point in his career, at the very least, he has the infrastructure to evaluate, draft, and develop the right talent. He's assessed that. He's came to that conclusion. I think we've all come to the conclusion based off of based off of the facts, based off of guys like Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. Did I say Jalen Hunt? Kenny Gainwell. Who else? Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Trevor Keegan, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Moro Ojomo, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Hurts. I think Howie Roseman understands that I have an opportunity to reload this roster with young talent that we know how to evaluate. We know how to evaluate. And they're not overthinking it anymore. The Eagles have been phenomenal over the past 4 draft classes. They've been phenomenal. They've been phenomenal. They've been phenomenal over the past 4 draft classes. Over the past 4 draft classes, you secured Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Hunt, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams. Looks like Howie Roseman and that Eagles organization know how to draft and evaluate talent and develop it. But I'm going to take it a step further for you guys. Over the next 2 years, 2026 and 2027, your Philadelphia Eagles are scheduled to have 20 draft picks, right? 20. Let's take it a step further. 11 of the 20 draft picks will be in the first 4 rounds. 17 of the 20 draft picks will be in the first 5 rounds. Let's say it again for the people in the back. Over the next 2 years, the Eagles are scheduled to have 20 draft picks in 2026 and 2027 combined. Of those 20 draft picks in 2026 and 2027 combined, 11 of the 20 draft picks will be in the first 4 rounds. Eleven of the 20 draft picks will be in the first 4 rounds. Sheesh. And 17 of the 20 draft picks will be in the first 5 rounds. You guys, Howie is not insane. He's not losing his mind. He's not asleep at the wheel. He's not asleep at the wheel. Like Tony C said, he's setting up the long game. And by the way, Zack Tritegrity, we've addressed the AJ Dillon move. We've addressed that at length, as a matter of fact. We've addressed that at length. We've discussed the AJ Dillon move and the impact of it. Even Ben VanSumeren at fullback. We've addressed that. Well, we're going to double back. Don't worry. That's why it's important to be on time. Anyway. And yes, Dotson is still on the roster. But this is why you have to trust Howie Roseman. Because Howie understands that as much as I love Josh Sweat, as much as I love Milton Williams, as much as I love Darius Slay, as much as I love Isaiah Rodgers, as much as I love CJGJ, I can't pay those fellows. But what I can do, I can draft, and I know how to draft well and evaluate and develop. Yeah, I know I can do that. And I know I can find a way to replace those players. So this is why you trust Howie Roseman, because he's seeing the future here. He looks at Jalen Carter. He looks at Jalen Carter as irreplaceable. He looks at Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Irreplaceable. He loves where Nolan Smith is. He drafted him in the first round. He's irreplaceable right now. Right? See what I'm saying here? Like Howie Roseman, he's trying to clear the runway to make sure he can pay Cam Jurgens. He can pay Jalen Carter. He can pay Nolan Smith. He can eventually pay Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. He understands that if he's going to keep this thing together, if he's going to be able to keep the core, the blue chip players, the guys who are irreplaceable, the guys who are just dominant, if we're going to be able to compete for a long time and not just a good time, you got to make sure you pay guys like Jalen Carter. You got to make sure you pay guys like Cam Jurgens, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. I personally believe the foundation to the Eagles' defense right now, in my opinion, the bedrock of that defense, in my opinion, as much as I love all these guys, right? I believe the true foundation to the Eagles' defense right now that they look at it as Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Nolan Smith. I believe Howie Roseman looks at those four defensive players as the core to his defense. And everybody else, he can replace. Do you guys agree? Zack Baun doesn't count. We're talking about young guys. Zack Baun does not count right now. We're talking about young guys. Zack Baun is under contract. He's good. We're talking about young guys who have yet to get paid. We're talking about young guys. Okay? Young guys. On that defensive side of the ball, these are all players on the rookie deal, by the way. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Those, in my opinion, are the four players he looks at as his core guys on that side of the ball, that no matter what happens, he's going to make sure those guys get paid. He's going to make sure those guys get paid. That's what I believe. I think he looks at everybody else as somewhat replaceable. And he would love to bring them back if they're willing to take a reasonable contract. But there's no one above Jalen Carter on that defense. There's no one above Quinyon Mitchell on that defense. There's no one above Cooper DeJean on that defense. There's no one above Nolan Smith in that defense. There's none. Those are the four titans of the Eagles defense that Howie Roseman will prioritize. over the next few seasons to pay. And that is why having 20 draft picks over the next 2 years in 2026 and 2027 is so important for the Eagles, because that's going to allow them to continue to draft guys, develop them, have them on rookie deals, get the most out of them, get good value out of it as well. And taking it a step further, 11 of the 20 draft picks that we're talking about, 11 of the 20 draft picks we're talking about in 2026 and 2027 will be in the first 4 rounds. 11 of the 20 will be in the first 4 rounds. 17 of the 20 will be in the first 5 rounds. I think we should all feel pretty good about your Philadelphia Eagles. I think we should all feel pretty good about Howie Roseman making sure this Philadelphia Eagles team is always in the mix. It will always be the ones hoisting that Lombardi trophy in the end. And it's straight like that. You guys, it's been a phenomenal show. Thank you guys for donating to the channel. Thank you guys for being phenomenal guests to the channel. I am supremely grateful to you guys for being great sports, for rolling with me, for being patient, going through this whole process with me. I understand that it's a little nerve-wracking right now, given the circumstances. I understand it. It's a little nerve-wracking right now, watching some of these players go. I get it. But I want to make sure you guys understand that there's a lot of love. There's a lot of tender love and care that's being handled with this roster. All right? Trust that. Also, I want to give a shout out to my members, okay? I want to give a shout out to all my members. Bo 1990, Cody's Nuts, Real Talk with G, Monty, Tiffany Dark Chocolate, Dana Scott, Dark Matters, Lucius the Show, William Johnson, Shep, Dank Bird Gang, 503, The Big Ten Repper, Gregory Trower, Tony, Carrot at Green, 757 CJ, Ian Blackwell Sr., Green Wingman, Doomsday Corner, Alex, Mr. Eagles Nation, Trey 979, Carol Hockaday, Sweet Chin Music, Fan of the Eagles Fan Girl, The Bull RJ, FAMU 1234, Big Pickin', S Blunt, and Luther Winfield. Thank you guys for being members to the channel. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for locking in. We're going to get out of here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II, and you guys have been tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports via the Chalk It Up Network, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the gang.